and playing the way they did. Thought we dominated from the beginning to the end, and it kind of fits what we've been doing as a football program. We're playing our best and getting our healthiest here towards the end of the year. I think we might not have scored on our first try, but I think we scored our next 5 possessions, if I'm not mistaken. The defense, after the 1 score they allowed, really a couple miscommunications. Just after that, allowed a total of 8 first downs. Again, just playing our best football right now, and really physical. Won the line of scrimmage, put pressure on their quarterback, forced them into some really difficult third down situations. I think they were 4 of 13. And, everybody wanted to see how Miami would do in the cold weather on the road against a top 25 team, and I think we answered those questions very clearly. So, questions, please.
Mario, you mentioned you guys feel like you're playing your best football over this last month. Mm-hmm. Now that the regular season is over, now that basically everything is more or less out of hands, depending, unless you get into the conference championship next weekend, what would you say to the committee, if you could, about your guys' case to be a playoff team with what you guys have shown this season?
I would say a lot. At the end of the day, it's not only do we pass the eye test, we pass the field test, right? Especially as it relates to playing this brand of football down the stretch and in head-to-head competition versus others that are being judged in the same little pool that we are as well. Plus, we're getting healthy. No one ever talked about, the value of that in the middle of the season when we got banged up with 6, 7 starters going down, and now we're almost all the way back. Our quarterback is playing, hard to compare anybody else in the country playing the caliber of football that he's playing. Our defensive and offensive lines have been absolutely dominant, and they showed it from game 1 all the way to game now, forcing opponents to, have their worst graded performances against our fronts. So I think all that stuff, it speaks loudly. And again, it's not only the eye test, it's the field test.
And Mario, you mentioned the defensive line. They were in the backfield for a good chunk of the game, 4 sacks in the first half. Just what was working for them pass rushing?
Physicality. I think it's worth mentioning also they ran the ball for a total of 30 yards. I know there's some, subtracted yards there with sacks. But it starts with that, right? Making them as one-dimensional as we can. They're a really good football team. They're very well coached. They're very talented. They got a lot of good players, and their quarterback is one of the best we've seen. We knew we were going to have to create pressure and penetration up front to disrupt him, get him out of his rhythm. And we knew we were going to have to play some man coverage as well. So just really proud of the effort. Again, we had the one miscommunication during that one drive. But aside from that, I think that defense has put together as good of a resume as anybody in the country. And our offense is now doing the same thing as well. So fun day. A lot of fun out there today. These guys came in. We were the most excited team on the field is what we felt. And we knew that we had to, everybody, again, always questions Miami, and this was a beautiful day, And I'm a huge Steeler fan. I'm the biggest Steeler fan you could ever imagine, okay? So it was awesome being out here and awesome being able to play the caliber of football we played today.
Mario, Ruben in particular, I know stats are only so much. We know how much he does without impacting stats, but for him to get 1.5 sacks and be able to finish plays, what was it good like to see that and just his season overall, what he's meant for you guys?
He's the best defensive player in college football, and I would say Team Mesidor too. I would put them, battling for it, to see who gets it. And again, it's not just what he does on game, it's what he does the entire offseason, what he does leading up to the week of preparation and through the week. And he disrupts everything. You try to run the ball at him, he's going to defeat blocks. You try to run away from him, he's going to chase you down. You try to double team him, well, you better be secure in that. And you also are going to free up somebody else. And when you single block him, he has so many different counters and pass rush moves and his capabilities that can't say enough great things about him. And looking forward to playing some more football with these guys.
Coach, what did you say to the team? Well, I guess what's the message moving forward?
For us?
Yeah, there's so much left that you guys.
Sure, awesome job. That's the most important thing is how proud we are of them, how we overcame some injuries to play our best football here down the stretch especially when people want to compare our results versus an opponent with other, college playoff hopeful teams. The reality of everything they said they would do, they came out and did, and that they're excited. That's an excited bunch. They're celebrating. They're having a good time in there. They respect our opponent. They respect every opportunity we have, and we're looking forward to our next one.
Mario, just to play off that a little bit, right? Like you didn't clinch anything. You didn't assure yourself of anything.
Mm-hmm.
but it felt a little like you were trying to encourage your players to, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like it felt like on the field that you were trying to encourage your players to celebrate, like that you did accomplish something?
I'm not sure exactly what that means,
Okay,
but
yeah.
I mean, if we're a very high energy operation,
Sure.
and they were having so much fun executing at a high level. We always want to encourage that. Sometimes we forget that football is a sport and a game, and it's supposed to be fun. And they've played their best football, having a lot of fun. So, but we wanted to make it a point to show that we can go on the road against a top 25 team. I believe we played 4 top 25 teams, whatnot, and had an opportunity to play them, in a different climate. Which again, I think it's the funniest thing in the world. That Miami can't travel and play when it drops below 60 degrees, but we can't mimic those conditions back home. I mean, we have an indoor that's set at like 62. So, all in all, just we're very, very, very proud of the way our guys handled their business and the way they showed up on the field today.
And Mario, you mentioned Carson playing really well lately. Obviously, he had the late pick, but besides
Yeah, slipped out of his hand though.
Yeah.
That wasn't like a throw he was trying to get there. That one slipped. That ball got a little bit slick there at the end. And so, but he made up for it right after, and you know what? Also very important for CJ to get confidence in his, he's coming back from injury, and again, he showed what he does, so I think that was very, very important to, you can't let a game end like that. Carson's played too well. The offense played too well. CJ's coming back from injury. They're moving the ball. They're trying to score. They're calling a timeout on defense. So, I ain't having that crap. You know what I mean? It's our job to go play as well as we can.
And then,
Coach Malley broke the freshman receiving yards record.
Did he?
Yeah, I mean,
Are you surprised? Nobody else is, right? All year long, his dedication, his natural talent, and his game day approach and performances have been absolutely awesome. So Malley's just getting started. There isn't a better freshman in the country. There might not be a better and more exciting player in the country right now than Malachi Tony. It's fun to be around, man. He does it all. Got another touchdown pass, right? So it's good buddy. He beat Carson on his QBR today or something like that.
Do a couple more, Coach.
Yeah, Mario, how much will you watch of what's left, specifically the ACC games, knowing that a lot can play out depending
I mean,
what you guys?
Yeah, I always watch. I mean, stand up here and say, I'm never going to BS you on that kind of stuff. We're always going to be watching, but we watch every game. Every single one of us has those apps where you can watch those multiple games at a time type thing. So, looking forward to watching some football, but most importantly, we did what we had to do. Okay, flat out did it. Eye test, field test.
Do you ever think, or I guess I should say, at what point did you realize that Tony could become this focal point of the offense? I mean, to a certain degree, he kind of is. He gets more touches than everybody else. At what point did you realize, man, this freshman is going to be the focal point of our offense?
Yeah, and there was one opponent that they trailed him, they bracketed him, they did all kinds of stuff. He's a really hard guy to defend, and offensively we could move pieces around. It's not like cookie cutter. The slot's always here and the X is always there, and we did a lot of things over the last several weeks. We had a lot of tackle over formations today, which we hadn't shown. Alex Bauman, big game by him today, both blocking and receiving. Keelan continues to play really high-level football. JoJo had a really big catch. Mark and Pringle, Marty, all those guys had really good runs. Great check down to Marty as well. I mean, in this offense, I'm looking at the guys, Pringle, Fletcher, Tony, Brown, Bauman, Daniels, Marion. It keeps going on and on. The guys that touched the ball today. So I know there was a question that was very different than the answer I was supposed to give you, but you know what I mean? Yeah, he's the hot hand, right? When the hand is hot, you got to get it to him.
Mario, speaking of talking about the ACC,
Yeah.
I don't know if you had a chance to see some of the scores from around the country so far. Louisville blew out Kentucky, Clemson beat South Carolina.
Louisville blew out Kentucky.
Yeah.
SEC team, gotcha.
Yeah, so what do you think it says about the ACC, because there's talk about, depending on who wins the conference championship, if someone could be left out,
Yeah.
what do you think it says about the ACC to kind of make these statement wins against other conferences?
Yeah, I think it's, I just think people got to stop bullshitting and just trying to place value on conferences and there's a lot of really good football teams in all conferences, especially the ACC, and You know, we've proven it. You know, glad to see a team like Louisville's down to their 5th back and down their receiver. You know, there's a lot of really good, with a lot of great quarterbacks in this league as well, which people don't give enough credit to. So, and a lot of teams handling their business. And I know Georgia Tech had a really close one last night as well. So it just shows that the parity in college football is real now, you know, through the portal, through NIL, through, you know, people retiring and conferences having a different balance, to new hires in other conferences like the ACC, and, you know, teams just building different and establishing really just high winning percentage blueprints and regiments, and all that is coming into play now. And that's why I think you see so many close games, and then so many things tilt in a direction where they weren't maybe, you know, 5-10 years ago.
Coach, Jacoby Thomas, obviously besides the scare last week, like what an exciting guy. That hit he had in the second half, like.
You know, he loves to hit. You know, he is, you know, football, he was made for football. I mean, that guy lives for collisions, and he's a great tackler. You know, he came here, we needed an enforcer back there. We needed a guy to come to Miami and really set the tone, like so many great safeties that have been through this program before. And Jacoby Thomas has not disappointed. In fact, he's been awesome. He's excelled. He's a great teammate. He's a hard worker. Looking forward to playing more football with him.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
Guys, thank you very much.
Did you score that?